I like to take a moment out of my day just to sit on the toilet and relax. Not like most people, I guess. I never bring my phone or anything. I just need that breathing space, where nothing is happening and there's no input. The shitter is the only place where there are 0 odds of someone bothering me about something, so I'll take what I can get. The restrooms at my school are pretty good for being left alone. They're not stalls, they're full closed-off rooms with sinks and a mirror on the back wall. They do have one downside, that after about 10 minutes of no activity in the hallway, the sensors will turn off all the lights. There's no sensors inside the rooms, genius, so you have to get out to activate them. I often sit there meditating so long that the lights go out. I've done it too many times to count. I don't mind it really. I know the routine by now. Get up, the door is arm's length away, unlock it, stick an arm out, and wave it around. The lights come back on. I can do it with my pants around my ankles, no problem, if it's that kind of situation. Today I didn't have to, though. I was done when it happened, so I just stood up in the darkness and zipped my pants. The restrooms are in the middle of the building, and both the outer and the inner doors close tight to the floor, so when it's dark here, it's fucking dark. Like you can wave your hand an inch from your face and see no movement. If you've never tried it, I'd actually like to recommend you find a place like that. It's really trippy. Your brain isn't used to that. I reached out for the door right in front of me, but today something was different. I couldn't reach it. I took a step forward with my arm outstretched, but it just wasn't there. Already then I started to panic. This was not making any fucking sense. I know it doesn't sound of much, but there was no fucking way the door was that far away. I've done this 100 times. Right now I should be literally standing with my elbow in the middle of the door, and there was just empty space. I just stood there frozen for a moment, trying to come up with a rational explanation. Maybe the door had opened somehow and I was standing in the doorway. That just terrified me more, thinking about who opened the door and why I didn't hear them. But I tried feeling for the frame of the door anyway. I reached out to the other side, and again, I felt nothing, just empty space. This is double impossible, because the walls are so close together I can easily reach them both at once. I did a twirl back and forth, swinging 360 degrees around me, but hit nothing. At this point I was damn near ready to run and scream for help, but the rational part of my brain kept telling me I was still in a small room, and if I ran I would just smash face first into the door, and if I screamed I would be a laughingstock for getting lost in the fucking restroom and having to be rescued. I did the only thing I could think of, and continued walking forward, arm outstretched. I think I took 5 or 6 steps before I stopped again, trying desperately to figure out how to get out of this. I felt like I had left reality. I was on the verge of tears. I don't know where I got the idea, but I suddenly crouched down to feel the floor. It was the only thing tangible still, so I guess it made sense. Still the same cold, rough tile floor of the restroom. For some reason that made me calm down a bit, like I hadn't gone completely. Then something else happened that I can't really explain. I don't think your hearing gets better in the dark, you just notice sounds more. And now, it was as quiet as ever, but the silence changed somehow. Like just the sound of my breath, the way it echoed. It was like the room vanished. Until now it had felt normal, but now the echo was gone, and it was like I was standing in the middle of a pitch-black desert, with nothing around me for miles on either side. I can't remember what I did for the next bit of time. I think I just kept standing still for a while. I think I tried making peace with God at some point. I'm not religious. I suddenly got this strong feeling that there was someone behind me. You know how it usually feels, but it was different. I also knew that if I turned around and see, I'd just see my reflection. In that moment I just sort of knew that the mirror on the back wall was still right behind me. It had never left when I walked away. It sent a shiver down my spine. I turned around slowly and reached out to touch it. I felt it, cold and smooth, still right there. Even though I couldn't see it, I could visualize my reflection in front of me, standing right there at the end of my fingertips. It felt surreal to know my image was right in front of me, and I couldn't see it. Just like that, it was over. I heard the familiar sound behind me of the outer door to the hallway opening, and someone walked in. The sensors picked him up, and the light returned to my stall, and I could see my reflection. My heart was still pounding, and I halfway expected my reflection to be the girl from The Ring looking back at me, but it was just my stupid face. I looked around and nothing was changed. The room was the same, my business was still in the can, and everything. Needless to say, I flushed and fucking bolted out of there. I'm pretty sure I forgot to wash my hands. I don't know what to do now. I've never believed in anything supernatural, but what happened in there was impossible. All you people out there with your experiences, what do you do after the haunting stops or whatever? Do you just go back to work, pretending nothing is up? That just doesn't seem good enough to me. I need to know what happened. I know it wasn't the most impressive encounter with the supernatural to have, but it still had me scared shitless. Pun intended. I've been thinking about it, and even though the mirror followed behind me, I don't think it was the evil part. I think the mirror was my anchor, if that makes sense. I think it was the only reason I ever got out of there, and I'd still be wandering that darkness if I hadn't touched it. The worst part is, I feel like I've lost the only place I could relax and take a break. Somehow, the creep had made it down to my train car and was slowly and intentionally moving closer and closer to me. I looked around for help, and although everyone around me seemed uncomfortable, I could tell that I wasn't going to get help. I made eye contact with a basketball player from my school, thinking he could read my expression and help, but he quickly looked away. Eventually, Creepy Guy got to the seat across from me.